Well, good evening. It is great to see you tonight, whether here in person, tuning in online. You are in for a treat this evening. We've been looking forward to this for quite a while. Of course, Craig King and Josh McGatha recently went to Zimbabwe to go on mission work, to be a part of our ongoing mission work there. And so tonight is their opportunity to come back and tell us about all the good things that God continues to do there in Zimbabwe. And so I don't want to take any more of their time, but before I turn it over to them, I do want to mention, I found out this afternoon that Ryder Daniel tested positive for COVID this afternoon. So if you would, keep little Ryder in your prayers. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much. Craig?
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. I love Jesus. You love Jesus. We love Jesus. Praise the Lord. I love Jesus. You love Jesus. We love Jesus. Praise the Lord.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming out, and wanted to share with you a little bit about the work in Zimbabwe. I'm Craig King. I'm the deacon over missions, and have been doing that for quite a few years now. About a year ago, in an elders deacons meeting, I expressed my desire to the elders to invite more young men in the work in our foreign mission work. And meeting was over. Josh McGatha was already planning on going to Zimbabwe. Little did he know that I was going to leave him there. But I do want to thank you. As I look around the room here, I see individuals that have slipped check to me on an ongoing basis for many years for different works, be it wells that we were drilling, to the ongoing food program that we have, to contributing toward Bibles, just so many things that we have had ongoing in our work there. And I just want to thank the congregation for the support. We truly have a great team situation there with Valafi Melagini. We'll talk a little bit about him, but he is there and he is making a lot of great things happen there. But as he constantly reminds me, he could not be doing it without the support here of Rainbow and the other congregations that help support our work in Zimbabwe. So I want to thank all of y'all with that. We got a special team here in Zimbabwe. There we go, that we were able to go visit with. That was just 30 days ago, last May. Josh and I drove over to Atlanta. We caught a 7 o'clock p.m. flight, flew all night, got to Johannesburg, South Africa at 4 p.m. the following day. Got a room there in Johannesburg before catching our early morning flight on into Bulawayo, where we would be spending the rest of our time there. So it's quite a trip, but I want to encourage anyone, if you ever have an opportunity to go over there, it's a great experience. We're blessed, as I mentioned before, to have Valafi and Stella Melagini there. He comes from a broadcasting network background. He's been working with us there 20 years. Him and Stella, very, very sharp individuals that have worked and built a team over in Zimbabwe. We have others that are a part of that team there where we teach World Bible School. He's distributing food on a regular basis and just really doing a great job. But what's exciting is that we've had over 3,100 baptisms and just 7 baptisms this last month over there. So that's really exciting to have a work going there as well. The picture to the right is the World Bible School office. What we do is we co-lease that with Dorian Flynn and his partners for Africa. We have the offices, and then there is a large room there that is actually used for a church worship service that Haley Melagini is the preacher there. So it is used for multiple purposes there, but a part of our World Bible School work. We got in on Monday, of course, pretty wiped out from a long trip, but the next morning we hit the ground running with a preacher training class that we do there every month. Every month, 12 rural preachers come in, buses or however they can get there, and then they attend for a week-long preacher training course. That is for the purpose of establishing them and grounding them in good practices there as far as preaching and making sure everything from a doctrinal standpoint and educating them there as well. So we started out with a 2-day class there. These preachers come in and actually stay at his home. He puts them up and feeds them and cares for them, and Rainbow makes that possible. We send $1,000 every month over there to help bring these preachers in and cover their expenses while they're there as a part of that work. And the photograph to the right, the ladies will cook. That's their lunch that they had. That was mealie meal and some other assortment of things, chicken and other things that they served us there. And the preachers come in and really get a lot out of those classes. So we had pretty extensive classes that we taught there, different topics, but very extensive information that was passed on the mission of the church and how to be an effective evangelist and just other things there that Josh will be sharing with you as well that we taught there. That continued for 2 days while we were there, so we wrapped up on Wednesday before headed out to the bush on Thursday, where we would actually start distributing food to the different villages that we went to. The photograph in the middle, lower middle, is Priska. Priska runs the World Bible School office there from an administrative standpoint, grading the lessons and all. And then that is Stella in the back. She's always there in the background that's making things happen and keeping Bluffy on track. And anyway, once again, a great team there. We distributed 300 bags of meal or left the money for that money, those foods to be distributed. Typically going in and distributing somewhere around 50 to sometimes as many as 140 bags in these various villages there. So we were buying that, and these cost about $6 a bag. Rainbow has been sending $500 per month, every month there for around 2 years to help provide food to these villages. They're in the middle of a drought, I guess. Hopefully they're not in the middle of it. But anyway, it's been really dry there. One of our first stops was actually headed to a community called Bales. Bales, we drilled a well there 2 years ago, or you'll often hear the term borehole, but a borehole is a well, and we were able to drill that well 2 years ago in Bales. And that was done, and we took food to the congregation there, and Josh preached there at that congregation while we were there, and then we distributed food there shortly afterward. And to the right there, you can see that particular well is one that's operated by a pump. So they'll go out and they'll pump until the water gets going, and that's how they get their water. I've got a video here of this gentleman, and I hope that will play for us.
Rainbow Church of Christ in America, they would like to thank you so much for this borehole that you provided us here at Alliston. Also the solar, the Jojo. We used to walk some kilometers to go fetch water. Now we're just getting water within the premises of Church of Christ.
Thank you. So what you'll see there, that particular borehole has a solar panel and solar system, and then that is a tank. They call that tank a JoJo. It holds about 500 gallons of water. So they're able to pump that up and then go over, very much like us, a spigot right out in the middle of their community or their village where they're able to get water. And one thing that we did, Josh and I left about $300 for a drip irrigation kit that will be installed there, but we are working to raise money to fence that area around so we can keep some wild animals out from, and the goats and the cows and everything else from getting into that community garden, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a few moments. So this is another shot there at the community of Bales. We went from there over to Redwood. Excuse me, when I jumped ahead, that last place there was Alicedale, and that's where we left the money. That was a recent well that we just dug this year, and anyway, very happy for that. Then we went over to Redwood. Redwood is one that's scheduled to also have a well that would be drilled there. This is one of the Tennessee congregations that's raised the funds for that. And you can see their church building there in the upper right-hand corner. It's a lot of good, faithful, godly people there, and it's really special being a part of that and how they love the Lord and all. So that's the Redwood congregation. And then we moved on as we continued our trip, and we handed out a lot of food. You'll start seeing a lot of pictures with Josh handing out food, and it was because he was the youngest one there, so he got to do most of the heavy lifting. But anyway, that and distributing candy to the young children and all of that, that was really special, and they get a big time out of that. And so this building here, you can see in the center photograph some rafters. That building 3 years ago, they had some straight winds that blew the entire top off of the building. Vlafi sent me an urgent request seeing if we could help provide the funds to put the roof back on. The elders approved it, and like within a week they had the roof on the entire building put back on. So it's pretty amazing, and once again a great partnership that we have there. This was one of our meetings there that we had quite a few people that had shown up there in a large group. You'll hear bore hose and wells. They're the key to these villages. Young ladies and women are walking miles every day just to get water in very unsanitary conditions and bringing it back to their villages. And these bore hoses just allow for them to really save hours and hours every day where they can be doing other things, perhaps getting an education or other things as a result of that. So we'll talk more about the drip irrigation systems and all when Josh gets, but bore hose are the key, and this is something that we hope to be able to continue to do and do more of in the future. One of the things that we did on Saturday, I got the word, unfortunately, on Thursday. My dad had passed. On Saturday, I was flying out. But I did get an opportunity to go by Bellevue, which Steve and Josh preached on Sunday at Bellevue, and meet some of the people there. Also, we had a leadership meeting that they showed up for as well. One of the things that we want to do, the couple in the middle there has been installing the solar panels for the wells that we can do the solar. Of course, that is superior to the pumps, and it is our goal and our hope is that we'll eventually be able to get him to take over the future borehole drillings and take that off of a lot. Be able to speed that process up as we're able to raise more funds and more quickly get these bore hoses installed.
There we go. Hopefully y'all can hear me. All right. We start off with the leadership training that we started. We went Saturday, and we had about 60 preachers and different leaders from all over Zimbabwe came to participate in the leadership meeting and learn. And there was several of them that had walked more than a couple of hours just to be there. So it was a big deal. And we also had to let out a little early and make sure they made it home before dark. But the leadership retreat was a real great success, I thought. There was a lot of learning that went on there. I just hope that we taught them as much as they taught us. We handed certificates of attendance out. You can see them in the bottom left picture for the leadership workshop. And they all crowded around and couldn't wait to receive them. Then Sunday, as he mentioned, we preached at Bellevue. It was originally told to us that one person would do preaching and one person would do a Bible class, but it ended up being both of us preaching. So that's as anybody that winds up going on the trip will learn, African time is a little bit different than our time. They do it as it goes. But it was a great experience, and as you can see, there's a well there in the picture. He mentioned that we had paid to have drilled, and there's a church building in the bottom left corner of Bellevue, and in the center is the well working, water coming out of the spigot there on the building. The next slide I wanted to show y'all is something that really moved me and inspired me. I just wanted to take a few minutes to show you how they exit Sunday service. It was inspiring how much love and joy they showed as we left the building. Wonderful experience. It was a great experience. Now, the next day was Antelope Park, where we saw different animals, took a day off, which honestly made me feel a little guilty at first, because we actually had to take off from going to Bayete to take this day. The only thing that made me feel better about it was Valafi got a day off to rest, and that was well needed. I'm convinced that man works for the Lord in his sleep. Right there you'll see in the left picture we saw pythons. Well, I saw pythons. Steve didn't want no part of the snakes. He ran the other way. Then we had a female lion, of course an elephant, giraffes, male lions, cobras. Then we had a black mamba on the left, mongoose in the middle, and the zebra on the right. And that was at Antelope Park on our one day that we took to visit the animals of Africa. The next day we went to Mshebezi. Steve and I both preached to just under 200 people probably at this place. As you can see, it was a large group. People from all over around Mshebezi showed up. It was a great day. Mshebezi is actually where the 7 baptisms came from for this trip. So that was a great thing to be a part of and witness. Steve preached on a Christian home at Mshebezi, and I preached on faith. We handed out about 140 bags of mealie meal there to the different families, and several bags of candy, and they just went crazy for that. Just the kids trying to get the candy. They was just all over the place, and some of the adults was doing it too. They was ready for some sweets. That's just some more of Mshebezi. Just passing out mealie meal and giving the ladies a ride back to their villages, because if we didn't, they was going to have to walk a good distance with bags on their heads, with the mealie meal bags on their heads to get it back home. They're the ones that transport it. Then, of course, there's handing out the candy to the children and them all crowded around, and real fun day and success for everyone. Then we had just under a 16-hour flight, 85,000 miles later, we returned to the USA, which is where I want to show you next a comparison. What I saw, big difference, and you'll see it as well. The left picture is the United States. That's from the airplane. The right picture is Africa from the airplane. Huge difference. You can see it's green and water, brown and nothing. It's completely different, which is what will bring me into this next point. The crops throughout the region, as he said, they're in a drought. They've actually had not a lot of water in the last decade, but they've had a bad drought in 2022. And as you can see in the left pictures, both top and bottom, that's the crops all across the country. They're all brown, wilted, and didn't produce anything. So all across Zimbabwe, the crops didn't come in. So that's huge. I mean, if you don't have crops, you can't feed. You know, that's a big deal. The right picture there is a drip irrigation system installed on a garden that's starting out, which is what we're about to speak on. Crops with the much needed drip irrigation kits. The right picture there that shows us what they look like when they have the drip irrigation and they're growing well, which is what we was inspired to leave money for one of the villages so that they could do that and feed their entire village. We need to do a lot more of that. We need a lot more of that. And the left picture is just another picture of the drip irrigation installed in the beginning. Without the drip irrigation, their gardening or growing crops is very minimal, if they even can. As you saw, the crops that were wilted all across the country is pretty much what we saw everywhere we went. So not only do I hope that we can get more drip irrigation for them, but I hope that we can inspire others. Bless you.
I brought along a crisp $100 bill. It's a Zimbabwe $100 bill. Who would want this if I gave it to you? Anybody want it? Thank you, Blake. This $100 bill from Zimbabwe, that's worth about 30 cents. Have fun with it. I want to speak about some of our current needs there. Once again, a lot of great things going. I want to touch on just a couple of the things that we've accomplished and then speak to what our current needs are. Several of the things this year, we've dug boreholes or wells in Alicedale and Bellevue. We sent $1,700 to buy Bibles. In 2020, we bought a new truck after the truck that Lafayette had been driving had, I think, around 300,000 or 400,000 miles on it. We've been sending food continuously every month, $500 a month since 2020. Started a preacher training program 9 months ago where we send $1,000 a month over toward that. We'll graduate our first class this fall, and already interest from others in attending a new class for the coming year. We've assisted with Blafi and Stella's medical needs, where they go to South Africa for their medical needs. We installed a solar system at Blafi's house. They'll have rolling blackouts where they don't have electricity or water because of the Bulawayo water system and utilities that are in disrepair. So the solar system allows them to run generators to be able to continue to have water. If you can imagine having 12 guests in your home with no electricity and no water, That's what we helped overcome. We were able to install that solar system for him this year as well. Left money for blankets. It's winter over there now. It gets cool at night. It's hard to believe that, but it's cool at night. Fluffy said, it's a little cool in that. They don't have heat. It's a little cool in the house. You think we might could get some money for blankets? So we left money for blankets before we ever left for their preacher guests, so they could have blankets while they're staying there. We've continued to teach World Bible School through our office there, and anyway, that has gone well, and Bloffy continues to update us. If you're interested in getting on his distribution list, let me know. Give me your email address. And I also like to encourage you guys to drop Bloffy an email of encouragement from time to time, because he is an amazing man. Current needs that we have here that we want to talk about. I want to continue to drill wells, and it's our hope that we can continue to do so. If we could drill 2 to 4 wells a year on an ongoing basis, that would be absolutely wonderful. We'd like to be able to continue our work toward our preacher training. That is really important to ground these preachers out in these rural areas. We want to continue to provide support. I have some other things on the list in addition to this, but the support for food, preacher training. There's just ongoing expenses. We send $1,600, or it's now about $1,800 a month over there just for general expenses to support the work there. So we want to be able to continue to do that as well. We would like to raise some money for the fencing around Alicedale, where we just drilled the well recently this year. So we'd like to be able to continue to do that as well. And also the drip irrigation kits. That is a work that Jacob Moyo is doing under the oversight of the Concord Road Church in Tennessee. I'd love to be able to help support their work as they get drip irrigation systems there as well. So that's our report. Again, we couldn't do it without you guys. And Bloffy is so thankful to Rainbow and the work that we do here. What we would like to accomplish is we would love to have Bloffy and Stella come to the U.S. here in a couple years. 2024 would be our goal to do that. And in addition to that, we'd like to make our next trip to Zimbabwe in 2024. So if you have an interest in that, that gives you 2 years to start raising the funds to be able to go. And I'd love to have a big group so we can continue to show the support and continue to the work that we have there. Any questions? We have 3 minutes, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you may have before we close out. Yes, sir. Sorry, can y'all help me here? A what?
Drought, yes.
Yes, it's a drought. It's been about a 10-year drought, but the last 2 years have been extremely bad. They have basically 100% crop failure. Yes, Ben? About $300. Yeah. Yes. Mealy meal.
Cornmeal.
Yes.
It's cornmeal. It's a different form of cornmeal, but it's pretty much the same thing. They take it and they mix it with boiling water, sort of like mashed potatoes, and it looks similar to mashed potatoes. And that's what they eat, pretty much. They live on it.
I'd like to come back to the drip irrigation real quick. Rainbow sent Jacob Moyo to Zambia for 8 months to learn how to do this. And this was all Ray Cox's dream, and that was to be able to use drip irrigation. So we were supporting Jacob. We sent him to Zambia. He came back with the techniques, and we started that work there with the drip irrigation, and that all started here at Rainbow. And Concord Road took over the support for Jacob when we took over the support for Bloffy. So a lot of history there, but a lot of drip irrigation kits that you'll see out there. And a lot of it is because of what was initiated right here at Rainbow. Questions? Yes, Jeff? Well, it's kind of hard to say. They all have little compounds, I guess you would say, that are typically families. some of these where we had 100 people show up, they came and walked for miles. So it's kind of hard to define how many would be in a village, but the village may compose of several compounds. If you had to guess, what would you say, Josh? How many in a village would you guess?
Just the average village?
Yeah.
Like Zimbabwe, of course, was
Yeah.
a lot different.
Yeah.
I would say in each little village, there's probably, 3 or 4 little mud huts, and there's probably between 20 to 30 maybe there in each little village. It could be less, it could be more.
Yeah. Maybe 30, 50, something like that. Another question? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Great point. No, we have not, but very good point. That'd be very helpful. We're about out of time. One more question, anybody? I'm sorry, the what? Oh, yes, solar power. It's about $4,000 to install one for the well, and it kept the pump going. So as opposed to a manual pump. Yes, yes, yes. And also helps in some of these areas where the electricity, when they lose power, they're able to sustain their power. Well, we're out of time. Thank you for your support. Will you join me in a prayer as I close this out? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for all of our many blessings. And we thank you for the work in Zimbabwe. And we know our command, and that is to spread the gospel to all creation. And we thank you for the work here at Rainbow, that we're able to do that and take the good news throughout the world. Pray that you'll continue to go with us and bless us. Pray that you forgive us when we fall short. In Jesus' name, amen.